Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. God dog. Hey, look, it's Wednesday morning and ain't God good and won't he do it? Oh, yes, he will. Oh, yes, he will. I know Melissa probably saying, Lee Craft, Lee Craft, Lee Craft. You say the same thing every morning. I'm going to say Enoch, Ewok, Enoch. That means y'all sure know what to say. Look. This morning I want to talk about taxes, right? Price taxes. When there's something wrong with your taxes, who you gonna call? Price taxes. They ain't afraid of no audit. Price taxes. Call Larry or Diane Price at 901-828-5422 or 901-604. No, yeah, 604-9227. If you want your taxes done right, don't think twice. Don't think twice. Call Price taxes. Look, hey, like I told you, I don't hit it. My body got to like real life. You have to live with it and deal with it. Look, I don't know about y'all, but I've had some problem with my taxes, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm in a tight spot. Before we start going to price taxes, we try a lot of different tax bases and everything, right? And like I said, how can you know what's good until you know what's bad or experience bad? And we've experienced some bad. They was good, but they was bad. They didn't give us all the um, make us aware of all the things that we could, for as filing tax for, things you could do for, save your receipts for, doing all the things like price taxes were doing. And like I said, I remember I can recall my wife and I was our children were going to St. Andrew's daycare with Miss Patrice, and like I said, hey, it was worth it. And we look back over the years. I said, Phil, I know we spent $20,000 a year. She said, yeah, Lee. I said, what was I doing? But ain't God good and won't he do it? I'm not like, you paying for a service. And when you pay for quality, oh man, Miss Patrice, they gave us quality. I mean, like I said, that daycare made my children better. Taught them, prepare them for the next phase in life, which is going to the first charter school in the city of Memphis, Circles of Success Charter School, which, like I said, they didn't stop. They kept on excelling. But like I said, people who having a problem with your taxes, and like I said, if you haven't filed in a long time, before April 15th, you need to go in and file your taxes. Like I said, call Larry or Diane. Like I said, I'm giving the number again. It's 901-828-5422 or 901-604-9227. Ask for Larry or Diane. I promise you will not regret that. Let me tell you some stories. When I filed my taxes, right, keep in mind that we paid all that money for us in daycare. And a lot of times you get that money back. Now, we made a decent salary, but I'm trying to tell my wife, we made a decent salary, paid all that money out. We should have got way more back. And after talking to Diane, she said, yeah, y'all should have got almost half that money back. I said, I think we were robbed. We were robbed. Because look, when I see the Washington News, right, hear stories about people cheating, the tax preparers cheating people out of their money and stuff, right? And one lady, say she file your taxes, you may get $5,000 back, and she may get $25,000 back, or whatever the case may be. Well, what she's doing, I don't know, but I'm just thinking about when we go to those tax preparers, right? And we paid all this money towards daycare and other things, right? Had the receipts, right? And we only got X amount of money back. I don't want to think about that. It kind of makes me sad. I'm like, look, look. But at the end of the day, though, like I say, once you know better, you should do better. And like I said, I guarantee you one thing: if you go to price taxes, you won't regret it. And like I said, they to me they the best. And I left for this guy JB did my taxes, and like I said, I left him and went to price tax. And like I said, we haven't looked back since. Like I said though, each his own. You do what you feel is best for you and your family. But if you want your stuff to done right and no worries and shoot, price taxes. Like I said, they ain't afraid no audit because they're gonna do everything by the book. You try to come in there and give them some stuff and you're trying to cheat, they'll say, hey, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. You're not gonna destroy my business as well as my name. So that's what you want, people. But be mindful. No matter what you're going through, I can guarantee you one thing: it's going to be okay as long as you make God a part of your life. That's the what if guarantee. What if? What if could be? What if you went to price taxing and tell them Lee Craft sent you? I guarantee you, you won't regret it. I can guarantee you that because I am a living testimony. You know, like I said, man, I remember one time I took my taxes, the price taxes, and they said, Lee, I said, yes. Uh, you know, you didn't take out enough taxes, right? Me or the company I work for? She said, look, I'm gonna see what we can do for you, but she said, it might not look too good for you. I'm like, man, I'm in a tight spot. I need help. You know, 'cause like I said, you know, sometimes we work throughout the year, and you put away money and stuff, and you look forward to getting that little income tax check back, and maybe take a little trip, or maybe go out and buy some things you need for your house, and so you be able to file that stuff again the following year. But like I said, while you look back at it and say, man, I didn't pay enough taxes. What was I doing? You know? I said, well, what were they doing? 'Cause I thought I took out enough. I put a little extra money in it just to make sure that I'll be able to get something back, a little something back. So I guess I need to start trying to be rich, because like Bill Cosby said on his TV show, right? They come for the poor first. Lord have mercy. But no, good people. Like I said, I want to speak about price taxes. And I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. Like I said, we have so much going on and stuff. You forget the simplest things. But you have until April the 15th. If you haven't filed already, like I said, I'm not tax prepared, but I know some things they can do if you want to delay it. They can file some kind of paperwork that delay it for you, more time to gather all your paperwork and everything. So, like I said, good people, those are some of my stories that I wanted to share with you about for us tax stories. You know, I recall a partner of mine. I sent him the price taxes, and he was in. When I say he was in debt, he was in debt. And this is the thing, you know, they live on an honor thing. You know what I'm saying? And he went there. I think it was $20,000 in debt or whatever it was. He hadn't filed in a few years, and she got him back to the government had owed him $200. You know, and he never paid her for doing his tax to get him out of debt. She told me, she said, Lee, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm not gonna worry about that. He can have that, you know. So if he ever come back, just tell him you need to pay up front. I said, wow. I said, can I do that? Can I do what he did? Shoot. But no, but like I said, though, we if you want quality, sometimes you got to pay for quality, because you're paying for a service. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere. You know, like I said, I am happy as all get out. So, like I said, good people, if you know somebody that needs help, that's in debt, hey, call Price Taxes. I guarantee you that you won't regret it. You won't regret it. So, like I said, this is my show for today. So, with that being said, this is Lee Craft. This is my podcast. If you have any comments or concerns, please email me at leecraftwhatif@gmail.com. One band, one sound. Together, we got an opportunity to turn this whole world around. But in order to have a real conversation, you got to have real people. If you want to have a real conversation, have a blessed day. And please find time, make time to tell God thank you. Look, people, I know I made a lot of mistakes. I know sometimes I get excited, I talk fast. But be mindful of one thing. On my podcast, we do not edit. My podcast is like real life. You have to live with it and deal with it. So, with that being said, have a blessed day and tell God thank you.